to the comic shop. I'll let you read about Cyclops. I'll have you spending all you got. Comicsgate is looking hot. Blacklist. Guess who's back again. Legit's back. Tell some friends. All right, here we go. Another amazing comic book review on Testosterone Overload. And today, what are we talking about? We are talking about the greatest crossover in comic book company history. That's right, people. It's time for Deathmate. Okay. I'm sorry, it's too funny. Deathmate was a compilation by Image Comics and Valiant, my fave. And it starts, it's 6 comic books. Technically it's 9, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But let me just preface this with, this is Deathmate. There are 6 of these books in the official canon, but there are some others that I don't have that are preview books. There was a Deathmate preview that was orange, a Deathmate preview that was green, and a Deathmate preview that was pink. And basically you get, like, out of all 3, you get a total of 18 pages more story that kind of sets this up. So, but this is the prologue. This is definitely where you start. And then it continues into this, and this, and this, and this, and ends with the epilogue. Now, part of the problem was these are all just colored books. Red, yellow, black, blue. They're not in any order. You don't know how you're supposed to read these comics. Like, there's no little key on the inside. There's no little legend on the inside that tells you, oh, well, you start with blue and then work your way to red, then black, then yellow. It's not like that at all. It was a guessing game. And part of the big problem with Deathmate, and one of the reasons it was marred in controversy, we're going to blame Image for this because, see, Valiant, they got their 2 books, Yellow and Blue, out on time, October and October. And now this says November and this says September. Red and Black were Image's responsibilities. These did not come out for almost a year afterwards. So, basically, comic book fans like myself bought these, and we were waiting with bated breath for the Image books, and they just never came, and they never came, and they never came. And then when they finally did come, comic shop owners were so disillusioned that whereas they bought, you know, like 1 million copies of each of these to sell to fans like me, they only ordered, like, you know, 200,000 and 300,000 of these guys. So these were really hard to find, which automatically jacked the price up. And the truth is I did not see an Image Black. It took, I'm going to say, 15 years before I finally saw the cover to Image Black. It took me almost 10 years to get Image Red for a reasonable price. Now, of course, in the modern era, here in the beautiful year 2018, you can get all of these for 50 cents at a local comic shop. At least I did. You might have to spend $1. I don't know if you're going to want to. But let's just go ahead and get into the review so you can make that determination for yourself. So, we're going to set these aside, and we're going to start with this prologue. Because this is where we know it starts with a prologue, right? We know that means we're going to start here. What do we see on the cover? We see some Jim Lee artwork. And while normally Jim Lee artwork would be really cool, unfortunately it features some crappy characters from Valiant. This guy, like, isn't even in the dang book, as far as I know. But anyway, let me get to it. So it opens up with Solar, who, if you don't know, I can't tell you because I don't know. And this woman, and she calls him Phil, and she's Gail. And she's been depressed for months, and it's in Arizona, July 10th, 2062 at 7:45 p.m. As if the time even matters here. Like, we're supposed to be keeping track of this. We can't even figure out what book we're supposed to read next. Anyways, written by Bob Layton, penciled by Barry Windsor Smith, and inked by Jim Lee. Now, I've talked about Barry Windsor Smith's art before. I'm not a big fan. Basically, she's like a clone of herself, and like he used his power to bring her back or whatever, his energies, his incredible energies, to keep her alive and young. It's unnatural. So basically, she wants to die. So he sucks all the power out of her, and she's super sad about it because she loves him and he loves her, but she has to die because everyone else she knows is dead. And she just falls dead to the ground. And all of a sudden, like, he starts getting this weird feeling inside of his brain, and it totally freaks him out. And he gets sucked into the void. Even it's not the void. It's not the void. It is called something else, and I'm gonna find it. For me, there are other dimensions to explore, other realities. Basically, like he splits in this schizoid episode. So you have like Solar Man of the Atom, and then you have Phil with the gray hair, and that's how we're gonna distinguish between the two. So Phil with the gray hair, he just goes like floating around in unreality. This place is called unreality. And who does Solar come across? He comes across Void from Wildcats, and she's out here in the unreality, a place between conceptual time-space where energy is organized by thought. So essentially, like, this is the wave. This, if you've ever watched What the Bleep Do We Know, they are in the wave function, and it is not collapsed. They have not collapsed the wave function yet, but that is going to happen. She feels a massive disturbance, and so all of a sudden, like, at the heart of it is a woman the likes of whom... this is him talking. He feels this massive disturbance. A great battle is being waged. At the heart of it, a woman the likes of whom I have never known. I can feel her ripple the edges of unreality itself. Wait, what's happening? Everything is frozen. All of a sudden, like, all this shattering stuff happens, you know, and I'm not sure exactly what's shattering. A million probabilities coexisting for her in a single instant. So basically, she's kind of like a Watcher from Marvel. I want you to think of Uatu from What If, and how he can see all the different universes. Well, she can see all the different probabilities and all the millions of ways that the wave function could collapse and into one probability. And so, like, he sees her and he's just like instantly falling in love with her, and rushes to her. You're beautiful. And it's just like, this guy just basically killed the woman he loves, and now he's already in love with another chick. So this is a very self-centered individual, I'm guessing. To be that way, it's just very self-centered. So, anyways, we are not of the same reality. You're made of pure energy, different energy than mine. How can that be? We are in unreality. This place is a common ground for all thought. Your universe and mine are separated by this plane. Somehow our minds, our thoughts have brought us together. And yet, that is not enough, is it? And he's like, no, I've seen the miracles of creation itself. I've marveled at the wonders of my universe. I don't know how many wonders there are in the Valiant universe for him to marvel at, to be honest. And we've kind of gone through that with Exo Manowar and Shadow Man, Steven Tyler Man. And this is another one of these characters. Yeah, just feels just like an out-of-date character, like wannabe Marvel, but they don't understand superheroes that well. And so we don't know what the mingling of our energies will do, but he can't help it. He does not care. He has got to touch her. He has got to grab her by... Never mind. He's got to touch her. He has got to kiss her. He cannot help it, you know, but this is not forced. This is not forced. I want to make it clear. This is not rape culture. You see her arms wrapped around him as he embraces her face to kiss her lips longingly. Our thoughts are one. Our hearts are one. We are one. And so basically, like, they mold into each other, and then boom, everything explodes and it's over. End of chapter 1. Okay. And Deathmate Red is advertised. Here it is. Unfortunately, it's not going to come out for like 9 months. So, you know, it's just advertised. Rob Liefeld drew this and he was done. He was happy. Then we have Harbinger number 25, Sting versus Harada. This is not Sting. This is not Sting. That's Sting. And if that's not Sting, well, that's Sting. And if that's not Sting, well, that's Sting versus Sting. Okay? That's not Sting. This is not Sting. I don't care who they tell you. This is not Sting. And Harada, I don't know. This is some Harbinger stuff. You'd have to read it yourself. I'm not going to. Bloodshot. There he is. Being a hero got into his blood, literally. I wish I knew what that meant. I'm trying to track down a Bloodshot #1. Oh my goodness! I told you that Shadow Man was Steven Tyler, didn't I? I told you it was him. Well, look at Joe Perry rocking that guitar like a G. Oh my gosh, see? They are the same guy. I told you. I told you. And I'm going to track this down. We are going to get a grip on Shadow Man #19 coming in August. Caught between hard rock and a dark place. Oh my goodness. We are going to have fun with this gem. And maybe at the same time we can go play Aerosmith's Revolution X arcade game. That would be super fun too, wouldn't it? The Second Life of Dr. Mirage is such an awesome title for a comic book. But this isn't doing anything for me. This part below the title, nothing. The title, The Second Life of Dr. Mirage, it makes you instantly want to know about the first life of Dr. Mirage and how it differs from the second life, doesn't it? And one thing I will give to Valiant that I do like is they did have a lot of Asian characters that actually were headlining comic books, that were the stars, as opposed to just kind of secondary characters like a Jubilee, let's say, who I love. Do not get me wrong, gentlemen. I love Jubilee more than I love Kitty Pryde, and more than I love Rogue, more than I love maybe any woman in the Marvel Universe. Let me think. I'm trying to think if there's a chick I like more. I like MJ a lot, but I would rather date Jubilee. I mean, if I was a comic book character. I don't mean in real life. Obviously, I can't date Jubilee. But if there's a chick out there watching who likes to cosplay as Jubilee and you're cute and you're Japanese, please leave a comment and send a private message. Anyways, Wildcat did come out with some cards. I didn't collect them, though. And here we go. Deathmate, Universal Truth, Part 2. I don't know where Universal Truth Part 1 is, but I do know that this is drawn by Rob Liefeld, and that is why it looks awesome. And I'm just gonna leave it for all of you to look at for a second and let you marvel at how awesome Rob Liefeld's art always is. Every time, no matter how wonky you might think the feet look. I don't care how upset you are that there are pouches, but you'll notice there are no pouches at all. I'm not seeing any pouches anywhere in this, so that's awesome. Just makes you... This is just like me. Images. Some familiar. Some not. I don't understand what's happening. That just described Deathmate in a nutshell. Oh, we got more. Look at how... I mean, it's just like all of a sudden, Valiant Comics look cool. Out of nowhere. Thanks to Rob Liefeld. Thanks, Rob, for making Valiant look cool one time in its entire existence. You did it. God, look at how cool he makes it look. I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking that this is a New Mutant. This is not a New Mutant. This is actually Turok in an alternate universe. So, like, that's essentially what this is all about. And we're going to get to that. See, some more awesome stuff is happening. This is all really cool, but it doesn't actually make sense. This is Jeff. This is the Geomancer. He talks to the Earth. Very forward-thinking comic book character. I'm surprised that this character is not selling 100,000 issues in Portland alone, but it's not. Apparently, not even liberals want to have a character that talks to the Earth, unless it's Poison Ivy. Certainly not this guy with the little bandana. It kind of reminds me of Staying Alive, starring John Travolta, if you never saw that one. Boom! You are welcome. Okay, back to the testosterone overload, which I don't know we're going to get any testosterone from Valiant. A little bit. Definitely from Prophet, though, we get a lot of testosterone. You can tell just by those guns that he's carrying around with him. There's some pouches. Thank you, Rob. This character sucks. It's just like I don't know, a cheap version of Badrock. But basically, what's happening here is Prophet and Geomancer have both had the same dream of their universes merging. Union. Mark Tex-Mex draws Union. Oh, Youngblood Strike File number 2. Yeah, I don't want to get into all this. Brigade number 0. Yeah, okay, great. Deathmate Black coming August of 93. Okay, and this is September of 93. And this is coming August of 93. So you do the math and tell me. September, August. Why isn't this out? It's not out because Image can't get books out on time in the 90s. So we're stuck with just Deathmate. We're stuck with the biggest crossover event in the history of comics. It's going to continue. Deathmate Yellow, Deathmate Blue, Deathmate Red, Deathmate Black. But what the hell happened here? Like they conjoined and the universes joined together somehow. That's what we figure out from this one. But let's just keep going here. So they don't tell you what order you're supposed to go in. There is an official, an unofficial order that you can look up online, and that is the order I read Deathmate in earlier when I read this little gem. It's okay. It's not a gem. It's fool's gold. It's fool's gold. And the order I read it in didn't feel correct to me. So here we are again. This one is by Rob Liefeld. The story, the script, the pencils, inks by Danny Miki. Thank you so much. Kiko did the color. And Eric Stevenson, or Eric Stevenson. It's all up to you how you want to say it. That's the fun of comics. He went ahead and wrote the script for part 2. Marat Michaels did the layouts, pencils by quite a few people. Matsuda, Hori, Frega, Nokan, Pachella, Win. If I mispronounced your name, I'm sorry. Spell it phonetically in the comments below. So we've got a lot of broadcasting going on here on the television. Quite a bit to read here, but it's worth it because Rob actually did write a good story here. Makes you wonder what happened with Youngblood 1, but that's okay because we've got amazing art. So this is the Youngblood of Deathmate universe. We have Dutch, we have Vogue, we have Die Hard, we have Bad Rock, we have Bloodshot, and we have, of course, you know, Big Shaft right there. Okay, sexy mother. Talking about Shaft. And this actually is a totally awesome version of Youngblood, and it's too bad that Rob has not secured the rights to Bloodshot and brought him back into Youngblood, because he seems like he would fit really nicely. At least when he's drawn by Rob, he fits really nicely. So basically, you know, like, this is interesting. Deathmate is, the best way to describe this is, think of Marvel's Days of Future Past. Okay, remember the X-Men Days of Future Past? Not the movie, the comic book. That's kind of what this is. Or it's like, this is one possible universe, one possible future. And it's neat in the sense that good guys can be bad guys and bad guys can be good guys when universes collide. And none of it's really going to matter at the end of the day because, of course, everything's going to be set right because that's what happens in comic books. And basically you get to marvel at all this beautiful art by Rob Liefeld. I mean, it's just nothing beats Rob Liefeld's art when inked by Danny Miki, in my opinion. No, that's simple but dynamic. And what's happening here, I don't think it matters. Like, there's no reason for me to tell you what's happening here because it's not going to matter at the end of the day. They're just kicking butt because this is what happens in Image Comics. They kick butt in the most awesome ways possible, visually unique and exciting ways that make you want to continue to turn pages and continue to discover what's going on. So these guys are working. So Harada, who's like in charge of everything, and he's kind of like the Lex Luthor of the Valiant universe. He sat high on his corporate throne, mocking the peons below. As he became richer, we became poorer, polluting our air, contaminating our water. He kills our old and experiments on our young. This is not utopia. This is hell. I demand an audience with Harada personally, or I'll blow this place to bits. So this guy thinks he's, you know, the top dog here. This character here. And I don't think we care who he is. Do we? Do we care? Do we care? I don't. No, we don't care. Okay. Because he gets killed here anyways. Shaft takes him out. Because these guys like are working for Harada, so like they're bad guys basically, which is kind of interesting. And then we switch to part 2 of this story, and you can tell we switched to part 2 even though it doesn't tell us that we're switching to part 2, because Rob Liefeld's art has ended and other art has began. And so here we have Prophet like showing up, I guess, trying to figure out how to save the world. All he wants to do is talk to Youngblood and convince them to help. The New Men. I did collect the New Men. I need to pull this out and read it again for everybody. So several hours later, so yeah, see, this is the problem, is I don't think it matters. You know, somebody sneaks up behind him and hits him in the head, and he gets knocked out, and, you know. They have this conversation. So what's the story with Sleeping Beauty here? Don't none of us know exactly. Me and Kirby found him up by the power plant, wandering around like some kind of lost puppy. Think he's one of Harada's new Youngbloods? Ain't likely. Al. Oh, okay, so he's been kidnapped by Wild Core, I think is what they're calling it. They combine Valiant's Hardcore with Al Simmons and Chapel and Lord Imp. So it's kind of interesting. They got, you know, obviously him all tied up, and they're trying to figure out which side he's on. Is he with the good guys? Is he with the bad guys? They got to kill Harada. And this keeps going. This just, it keeps going, right? And ultimately, you know, like, this drawing is terrible. I hate this. Look at this. It's like suddenly he's turned him into, like, is he black? I don't think Bloodshot is black. I thought he was like Italian or something, but clearly he is African American in this, despite having the Japanese rising sun on his chest. So the art gets weaker in the second half, as you can see. Extreme Studios talent search. So Rob Liefeld was searching for some talent back in the day, and you had to be 17 and willing to relocate to Anaheim, but it was totally worth it for a couple years there. So Al Simmons, who's not Spawn in this universe, he's teamed up, you know, and he's got this like weird little rat tail that he's growing here that's just was not popular in the 90s, so I don't know why it's in there, but there it is. You'll notice a lot of long hair in comic books back then. I just don't remember that many people having long hair. I think, you know, I blame Valiant. So Chapel, you know, he's getting ready to kill Bloodshot, but, you know, he talks too much, so he gets taken out by Dutch. And this, like, it's not Shadow Man, but it kind of looks like Shadow Man. Who cares? So basically, yeah, who cares, right? Because, you know, like Gilead, I don't know who that even is. It's got to be like a Marvel or a Valiant guy, right? So Prophet can't deal with this. He doesn't know what to do. Prophet just knows there's nothing but trouble. And this is where it ends. So, like, it doesn't tell you, you know, continued in Deathmate, you know, purple, continued in Deathmate teal. Doesn't tell you that. It just stops. And they say you can read it in any order. Yeah. Troll. See, I popped for Troll. Troll, this was a cool comic book character. Just different. It was just different. It was fun. It was he joined Youngblood. I think maybe by issue 5 he was in Youngblood, which I recommend. Youngblood 5 and up. I recommend Troll. I think he had a mini-series too. So there we have Deathmate Red, right? With great art. And we get the great Rob Liefeld art. You cannot beat the Rob Liefeld art. Boom, look at that glorious image. Just look at it. Just look at it. It's amazing. And it's just like, well, where do you go from there? Well, I'll tell you. I'll give you a clue. You go to Deathmate Yellow. So now you tell me. Which of these, which of those would you rather have? Well, I can tell you right now, when I was a kid, it wasn't this one. It was this one. And if we're going to get into it, like, let's do it all the way here. Which one would you rather have? Yeah, like, no brainer. Mark Silvestri, right? You guys know that Mark Silvestri is awesome because we did Mark Silvestri Appreciation Week here on Testosterone Overload. And it's just, there's not even a question. There is not even a question. Which books had the superior art in them? The Deathmate stories actually here are not horrible, but really we're just kind of confused. So Deathmate Yellow, Oh my God. That's how this comic book starts, is with Big Armstrong drunk in an alley, you know, typical Portland hobo. Just, you know, shitting in the streets, drunk, litter everywhere. It's like Occupy Portland all over again here. All hell's breaking loose over here. It is 3000 AD. But what I want to talk to you about is, you know, since I know I was confused after I read the prologue, and I know Deathmate Red didn't do a lot to help me figure it out. Luckily, someone had the foresight to write this. In a world that has long since become a terrible place, Solar reluctantly granted the wish of his lifelong companion, Gale, to dissipate the life-giving energy that had kept her alive and young for so long. So unable to contain his grief by her passing, Solar was literally split in two. The remaining Solar vanished into a life of seclusion, while the new persona went off to find other planes of reality to explore. There, in a dimension between what is real and unreal, he encountered a creature of incredible power, a woman from a distant universe, Void. The two fell in love, a love that would end all time, literally. Upon consummating, their combined energies fused, unwrapping the fabric of time, spiraling backwards, and eating away at their distinct timelines. In an instant, things were not as they should be. Heroes fought alongside those who had been their enemies in a different world. Great men who would bring justice to the world died horrible, untimely deaths. Only men with the gift of foresight, Jeff McHenry, that's the Geomancer, and Prophet, knew that all was not as should be. Where they had seen the future so clearly before, there was now nothing. Jeff and Prophet are resolved to gather the heroes of this amalgamated universe together to fight the battle to save all time. Okay, so basically, you know, old boy's drunk. He's got his little time travel friend here. And they, oh, who gives a crap, right? I mean, just look. Do you care? And they go through this portal thanks to this broad, we don't know. They end up in an MC Escher drawing for just a second, and then they're like dumped back into time, and this is a cool image here. This is a cool picture from Valiant. You finally saw one. You're welcome. Yeah, and then they go like back to ancient Greece, and they go and they find Lord Imp. And this is Imp. I guess this is Imp from Wildcats. Again, homeless Portland, you know, there it is. And this is where it ends. How do you feel about leftovers? They're going to go get something to eat. And what does this have to do with the crossover? I don't know. We don't know. And then we get to this, which is written by Jorge Gonzalez, drawn by Don Perlin. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm reading a Saturday morning cartoon strip or something. This isn't a comic book. This isn't the way comics look. This is the way Prince Valiant looks. And this is Harada, and who cares? This is going to feature Ninjak and Wildcat. So Zealot's just like ready to, you know, do her bidding, and there's Master Dark. God, it's just killing me to even talk about this. Look at this shit. Wow. Look at that, man. This is just, you know, the 8th grader who drew this, you know, did a great job. That sure does make me scared to fight Ninjak. And if you looked at the cover of, I think it's Ninjak #0, drawn by Joe Quesadilla, it makes Ninjak look so cool. And then you get this, and it's just trash. Like, they can't even make Zealot look good. And like here we have Ninjak and Zealot fighting, and so like in an alternate universe where I collided with Void, this comic book looks cool. But in the universe where Solar collided with Void, this comic looks like shit. Because it is shit. See? Look at that. Look at how cool he looks. Doesn't that look awesome? This is because of Joey Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti. Joey Quesadilla. Jimmy Palmetto. Make Ninjak look totally awesome. But remember this. Let's not forget. There he is again. That's Ninjak. Right there. Yeah. So basically, Valiant could only afford to hire good artists to do the cover, and everybody else had to draw Saturday morning cartoons. Okay, so then, you know, this story ends with... So she kills, by the way, just so you can see it. I know you want to. She slices his guts out, and it's actually a pretty good line. Just shut up, you lousy bastard. We'll see who's got the guts. I wish they were spilling out of him, but they're not. And he lies down, he's dead. And all of a sudden, he's alive again. Oh, it was a trick. It was a sneaky trick. He was wearing Kevlar and blood bags. I am not even joking you. I want to show it to you. I had to have you think I was out of the way. I'm wearing Kevlar plus some blood packs for effect, just like in the movies. Nice touch, don't you think? Seriously? I mean, he just died on the page before. And now he's alive thanks to Kevlar and blood packs. Let's just really get to it. Thanks, Jorge. Thanks, Dawn. And then we get to this story. And in this one, Spartan from Wildcats is teamed up with the Hardcore, Harbinger Active Resistance Division. And it's basically like Tom Selleck's mustache on... Actually, I think that's Yanni. You guys know who Yanni is? See the similarity? And then balding scientist guy with the glasses. Again, this is, I mean, why wouldn't you buy Hardcore if you were a 12-year-old boy? Looks so awesome with Yanni and a balding man. But surprisingly enough, this story is actually the better of all the stories in this. I'm digging this guy, Yanni, and how his story turns out. He basically is like the lone survivor here. And this is super friggin' cool right here. So basically this big fat guy, whose name is Big Boy, BB, Big Boy, BB, that's Big Boy. He's basically gonna pick him up and bear hug him to death, which I love that he's gonna bear hug him. And so they've got this chick named Softcore who like can change, I don't know how to describe what Softcore does. She's kind of like, I don't know, she's like, imagine if Neo was permanently jacked into the Matrix and could like change other people's density and things of this nature. Two changes back to back. First, ghost mode. What the hell? So he basically goes ghost mode, right? And falls inside of Big Boy's body. And then ultra mass. And so then she gives him ultra mass and he explodes out of Big Boy. Right here. Badass. That is badass. This is Softcore, who's the Matrix chick I was telling you. See how she's all jacked in with the wires. But this is badass, you know. And if they would have had an artist draw this who, you know, was more dynamic, it would be more enjoyable. I want to actually point out here, as you look at this Valiant book, that you do not see a lot of panels where the characters or actions overlap into another panel. It's all very square. Everything is all very square. Very square. Very square. Even when it's awesome, it's very square. Even when he's exploding out of his body, you do not see any blood move out of this panel and slip into that panel at all. At all. So you're just kind of like, oh. And I kind of like that Big Boy tears apart Spartan here, just rips him in two. Which is great, because you can do things like this, because in Deathmate it doesn't matter, because this is a universe that's not going to exist. This is where it actually kind of gets interesting. Everybody gets killed except for Yanni. Shakespeare! I mean, really? His name's Shakespeare, and he's got the whole Shakespeare bald head stupid thing. You monkey pud! I may only have stun ram, but that's enough to knock a hemorrhoid like you through that wall. Hey Zealot, there's a sewer on the underside. We got a way out. I lost half a leg. I love how brutal it looks, though. I'll give him that. I lost half a leg, maniac. I'd just slow you down. You go. But together we can... Jan, we all die? If we all die, Hadrix wins. Yeah. Okay. Move it. I've still got shield power and my blade. I'll hold them off as long as I can. So here's Hadrix, like, monitoring them. He's, you know, he's sold them out, basically. He's in charge of, what are they called? Wild Core in this. They're called Wild Core because they're Wildcats and Hardcore. They're Wild Core. Stupid, I know. So hours later, the recent attempt to remove Toyo Harada from power has failed. I'm currently considering a team of trainees to be slaughtered too. And Yanni shows up. Whoa, Yanni. I knew your vital signs were still active, but I figured you'd been captured. I mean, this is wonderful. Silly me. I thought Hardcats was through. Blam! It is. And then we have Turok Dinosaur Hunter here. And they're like swinging down marijuana vines with Tommy Chong. I'll let you figure that out. I can't figure that out. I don't know if that makes me want to buy Turok Dinosaur Hunter, though. I don't think it does. Anyway. Oh, back again. Eat the rich. There's only one thing that they're good for. Eat the rich. He is rich, though. That doesn't make sense. Okay, now we're here. Okay, so Deathmate continues here. Revelations and Recruitments. This is written by Bob Hall, who is a superior writer. I'm not going to say anything about Mark Moretti's pencils, but I'm really confused because I thought that this was his sister. Remember how we read that Exo Manowar issue 0 with the beautiful chromium cover, and they had his sister in it, like through the whole thing, Dark Sister. And I think this is his sister, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to read it out loud. It was a disruption in the skein of the universe, a tremor that shook me to the center of my being. When? Yesterday. Today. Perhaps it continues now. Yes. Yeah, I know. Time's but an illusion in the minds of intelligent creatures. Did I quote you right? Yes. Then get off it. Yeah, there was a tremor. I felt it. I liked it. I looked into the future and saw a blank. It was cool. You going to do something about it? First, I must find out what it is. There, the great cypress, a touchstone between this world and other sources of knowledge. I must know how the web of existence has altered. Okay, I'll bite. How you gonna do that? The energy of this disruption led me here, to this place where the ultimate energy was mine at last, where the Shadow Man and I finally joined hands to harness the dark power. And just what's the grand old cypress going to tell you, brother? And how do you plan to ask? We both know your powers aren't geomantic. I seldom ask for anything, sister. I always prefer to take. If there are secrets to be learned, I will find the means. Ah, yes, now I understand. And then we cut to Shadow Man, who's hanging from this. Yeah, okay. And there's Grifter, drawn very undynamically. Grifter does a roll. Grifter doesn't want to kill this guy. And Grifter jumps and attacks and blah, blah, blah. And then Shadow Man attacks and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, Shadow Man can't control his emotions. His toxic masculinity takes over. And he's going to kill him. He picks him up. He's just going to throw him off of a building. And he's going to enjoy watching him bounce. For God's sake, stop. You're stronger than he is. You've won. So let me take him. I swear I'll never bother you again. Take him. But if he ever fouls my night again, he's a dead man. He throws the gun off the thing and... Eclipse, 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 you are my slave, come to me. Then Eclipse shows up, okay? This is all you have to remember is this page. No, you don't have to remember any of this other shit. But seriously, like, did you get the vibe that she's black? Like, I kind of like, okay, I'll bite. How are you going to do that? Like, you telling me that like a broad who was alive in 1895? Because remember, this all happened, you know, this was 1895 when he got the tattoos in New Orleans. Now she talks like this when he still talks like this, but they're siblings? I don't get it. I do not get it. Ray. I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's Ray. This looks like crap. Deathmate Blue coming next month, but we're not going to read Deathmate Blue next. There's the second life of Dr. Mirage again. This looks fun, but he's shooting out of dark, and who cares? Deathmate Black. This is actually pretty cool. This one has a lot of depth to it. The story is by Eric Silvestri. The plot is by Brandon Choi. Pencils and inks by a variety of people: Brandon Peterson, Brett Booth, Mark Silvestri, Jeffrey Scott, Scott Clark, Greg Capullo, Jim Lee, Wills Portasio. And so in this world, Exo Manowar is a villain. He's working with Softcore here and doing everything they can to help, hold down mutant kind. Mother May I is alive in this. And here's Fairchild. She's come to kick some ass with the rest of Gen 13 there. And I don't want to, this is Turok. Turok is part of their team with Ripclaw. Oh, no. Turok and Ripclaw are bad guys. Let me rephrase. They're bad guys. But very quickly, Ripclaw senses that something isn't right and that he shouldn't kill her. And in fact, he decides that he's going to turn good, even though his brother-in-arms is going to stay bad, which is kind of fun. And Turok looks so much cooler in this than he does in actual Valiant Comics, but that's probably because he looks very similar to a certain New Mutant that we're not going to mention, because I don't want to remind Marvel how frequently their characters appeared in comic books that were not published by Marvel. So, this is a good story, and I don't want to tell you about it. I just want you to look at the images, and you'll see that it's a good story. Look at this. Ripclaw gets his arm severed off here. Pretty badass. And we've got this old woman here, but it turns out she's super sexy voodoo. Maul's in it. So basically, this is what I would consider the real Days of Future Past is what this is what made me have that thought, was reading this Deathmate Black. Was oh, this is kind of their version of Days of Future Past, and it's this is one possible future. Anyway, there's a lot of dialogue in this, and what's interesting is this sets up for a good universe. This one sets up an interesting universe that you kind of want to know more about. Unfortunately, you're not going to find out more because this is going to end, and it's going to end. And Union is coming, though. And a lot of stuff happens, They blow up the St. Louis Arch, which has a giant city built on top of it in the future. In the future of this alternative universe. Stormwatch, never read. Skycaps, dude, Pogs. That's fun. Okay, this is how awesome Wizard was. They were gonna actually let you win a Mortal Kombat arcade game. That's a cool company, man. Wizard was cool, man. It's too bad they're not around anymore. So anyways, you might want to pick this one up if you're a fan of Gen 13 or you're a fan of Ripclaw, you're a fan of Image in 92, 93. You might want to check out Deathmate Black just to see an alternative future story. Their Elseworlds, their What If, their Days of Future Past. Right there. Right there. Jeez. Again, just a reminder. Which one do you want to buy? Yeah, exactly. So we keep going here. Magnus, Robot Fighter, right? That's cool. Oh, April 8th, 2018. We just missed it, guys. It just happened in an alternate universe. Written by John Ostrander, pencils by Jim Calafiore. And again, you're not going to see anything slip outside of a panel ooh, this panel overlaps into this panel. How forward-thinking. And you have Jeff shows up here to stop him from fighting, the Geomancer, and he's just all strung out on heroin, clearly lives in Portland. He doesn't want anybody to fight and die, and then all of a sudden the world is dissolving because time is eating itself backwards. Magnus picks up a bike and breaks it over Brigade's head. Okay. God, this is just punishment. I don't know what's happening here. I don't care. Secret weapons. Impact shows up, but he looks like crap. You know, now he's drawn by Sean Chen. This is kind of cool, though. Ross Perot, look it up, kids. Ross Perot is the president in this alternative universe. So imagine that. What kind of a world would that be? Might be a better one. Might not. And then Geomancer shows up and he's got like this stupid Dauphin haircut. Like, have you ever seen Messenger, the Joan of Arc story with Mila Jovovich? Right there. Look it up. Right? Right? So now Jeff is like all clean shaven and stuff, and who gives a crap? Yeah, gonna get revenge for stuff that didn't actually happen. And again, you see nothing slipping. Like, oh, how daring! They made the word bubble overlap panels. Wow, wow. No wonder everybody loved Valiant. To be continued. There it is, being continued. Just a page away. But now it's written by Maurice Fontenot and penciled by Howard Simpson. And for some reason, you still don't give a crap, right? Just like me. So basically, you go through this thing. Why is he so little all of a sudden? I don't think he was that little before, was he? I guess he was, huh? He's a kid, I guess. Okay, well, who gives a crap anyways? To be continued, you know? Oh, being continued right here. Okay, Valiant Vision. Wow, this was a great gimmick. I'm going to hunt down a Valiant Vision. Solar Man of the Atom, number 29. I'm going to hunt down Valiant Vision, and we're going to do a video on that. I'm not going to bore you with it, because I already know this is boring you to tears, because it's boring me to tears. So Supreme shows up, and he's got a beard. And him and Solar get in a fight or whatever. No, maybe they're not fighting. Oh, he's trying to put out this oil well, right? There's an oil fire in Alberta, Canada. And Supreme and him work together to do it. As if this is... Who gives a shit? All of a sudden, you know, Eclipse shows up. And they like fight for a minute. And he's like, oh, hold on. And, you know, oh, my friend here, guy. Look at my friend, guy. And then Dark shows up. And Dark's like, you need me, Solar, to be there at the end of the world. You know, I'm the only one. You can use my powers and we can work together. And you'll need a vessel to contain the energy of destruction. I'm the only one that can do it. You'll have Supreme to keep Dr. Eclipse in check. You need me. You know it. And he's looking down like, God dang, he's right, man. I know I need him. All right, then. There's no time to debate this any further. There, the portal to unreality. We crossed through to find where all of this began. I'll form this unholy alliance, but I swear if you betray us, I'll destroy you. So they open like the gate, and they're going to go and deal with it. And finally, somebody tells us where to look. Concluded in Deathmate, the epilogue. A Valiant Reader. I guess this was like their, I don't know. It's kind of their monthly... Oh, it tells us, this helpful 32-page comic features color pickup art, synopsises, and chronological updates of all Valiant titles and major characters. This is an excellent opportunity to introduce new readers and expose existing Valiant fans to the entire Valiant universe at an affordable cost. For only 75 cents, you can read about a bunch of characters you don't care about. What a deal. God. This is like, just, what is this art? What is this chin? Why the long face, Eternal Warrior? Why the long face? I like the glove. Really 80s punk rock here. We've got some serious 80s punk rock. I don't know what these balls are. I guess those are maybe bullets. Those are shotgun shells lining his arm. I think we've seen this dude in other Deathmates, and I just didn't recognize him because he didn't have the long face. Yeah, I have no interest in that. Is he European? Is he from the UK? I don't know. There aren't really accents in comic books. You can always tell when it is a Russian accent by the way they write it. You can also tell if it is a French accent by the way they write it, if it is a good writer. There's that Joey Quesadilla Ninjak. Again, making it look cool, but we know better than that. So there's Deathmate Blue, and finally oh my God, I cannot wait for this universe to be destroyed because it is so friggin' boring. Again, artwork by Jimmy Quesadilla, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that like these two go together somehow. It looks like that's gonna shoot off onto another page, but no, not really. This is where it ends. We finally made it, guys. I can't believe it. If you're still watching this video, you're a champion. I will tell you that. You are a champion. So they go into the, you know, the never world, in unreality. They go to unreality, and basically their goal is they're going to send Solar to track down the other Solar, remember, with the long gray hair. And then Union shows up, and he's like, I'm going to save everything. And they have a conversation. You are the one, the destroyer of our universes, but you are not aware of your role in all of this yet. Puzzling. And then, like, I don't know exactly why he turns into the universe. I think it's kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me of Eternity in Marvel Comics, which is actually a character I thought was really cool, even though you don't really know anything about him. So we're going to July 10th, 2062, Elsewin. I kind of like that they go Elsewin. And this is the moment where they split, you know, he has the psychopathic schizophrenic split. Remember this from the prologue when, you know, time shatters and they collapse the wave function. You know, they're going to kiss each other, but then all of a sudden the heroes come riding in to stop it. And he's just like, it's not going to happen. And he starts choking himself and sucks himself in and like sucks up his energy, which is kind of interesting. And Dark is super happy. This is great. Ain't that going to screw up things a bit? No, it's perfect. And this looks like it was drawn by Jim Lee, maybe. Who drew this? Mark Silvestri, yes. Okay. Not even Mark Silvestri can make Valiant characters look totally awesome, but he can make Image characters look awesome because they are awesome, as you can see. That is awesome. It is also Eternity from Marvel Comics, but it's not. It's Union. So, Supreme, our Solar has been defeated. His future self approaches swiftly. He must not reach the woman. Stop him. So Supreme is tasked with stopping the bad Solar who has sucked up the good Solar. And Dark tells Eclipse, kill him before he reaches him. We have to let the world be destroyed because then he can suck up all the energy. A lot of ads. Oh, Deathmate. Oh, this is drawn by Joe Quesada, written by Bob Layton. A short time later, in another part of Unreality, they fight. Great. Okay, so they fight. Like they're gonna touch. They touch. They kiss again. What? This is actually happening. This universe is gonna continue to exist. Union, they've joined. We're too late. There's still a way to prevail, Solar. How? It's over. We've lost. Give me a portion of your energy quickly. Their expanding universe begins to recreate everything, all realities. I can recall you. After you've gone, my cosmic senses will retain all that you are. And so basically, like, Union sucks Solar inside of him, and then, like, the universe disappears, and then instantly it is going to reappear and expand. And as soon as reality begins once more, he expels Solar and tells him, fly to your universe, boy, fly. And Solar flies, and that's it. And now we're back at, like, the denouement for the Matrix, and everything's great and, lovely. And you can't see her. You cannot see her, but the Oracle is just off frame here, enjoying the normality of life. Reality, present day in a different universe. Wildcats HQ. Remember, they'd been Hard Cats, Wild Core, one or the other, Wild Core, maybe. Morning, Void. I'm just guessing here, but you seem troubled. What's the matter? I've sensed the death of one of my future selves this morning. I should be upset, Lord Imp, but I'm not. I suppose there is some advantage in simultaneously existing in many timelines, eh? Do not mourn that passing, Wood. Who? It's Union. I know you, don't I? You will. In time. And he picks up a pigeon. And it's, it's probably a dove, but it looks like a pigeon to me. Doves don't all hang out together like that. So he picks up a pigeon, he throws it in the air, and everything's great again. The pigeon flies into a different reality, a different universe, and lands on Geomancer's hand, and isn't that magic? And then he throws it up, and everything's great. Then you've got to live with the pain of watching your friends die all over again. Oh, not today or tomorrow, but in time. Who watches the what, men? That just happened. As if Deathmate is even nearly as good as the Watchmen. Whatever. Oh, Shadow Man number 0. There it is again. Too bad we didn't get to hang out with that Shadow Man more. Instead, we had Steven Tyler Man, Eat the Rich. Blackwater continues in Ninjak number 2. So, this I think is a mistake. Where a comic book is on issue 2 and already it's part of a crossover event. Get friggin' real. But this painted cover by Steve Rude is really great, man. This is really great. This really reminds me of science fiction in the 1950s. Not that I was alive in the 1950s. Not even close. My dad wasn't alive in the 1950s. But I love this art so much, and it is the best part of this Deathmate series is getting to see this advertisement for Magnus Robot Fighter and Nexus. I don't know who they are. I care who they are because of this. But unfortunately, I have a feeling that the art will be crap on the inside as opposed to being painted throughout by Steve Rude, which would make it totally awesome because this is a totally awesome image. Bloodshot number 0. I'm going to try to pick that up at some point if I can find it for 50 cents. But I'm never going to pay $1 for a Valiant comic ever. I don't care. I don't care. So there you have it. An epilogue, a prologue, and 4 books that are not in any particular order. I hope you liked it. I didn't. I hated this video. I hated this comic book series, short of Rob's work in this one, which looks friggin' totally sweet. Totally sweet. That's awesome. Mark Silvestri's cover on this is awesome. This was a pretty good story. Very wordy, but that's okay because I like to read. It's not all about the art for me. I got to have a good story. And this was a good story. And this was a fun story. So if you want to pick up Deathmate, you feel free to go and pick it up. I got this for a total of $3. You might be able to get it for $6. But these two, if you're going to pick up anything, it'd be these two. These are the ones you want. And I don't know what else to say. Deathmate, you know, fans back in the 90s wanted Deathmate to move the needle. But because of weak art and a nonsensical story that you didn't know how to read, and 2 books that shipped many months later than the original books shipped, this ultimately did not #move the needle. Even though, you know, you did have to pay like $8 for this and like 20 or 30 bucks for this. I think this might be the first appearance of Gen 13 even. I'm not positive. I kind of remember this being the first appearance of something, and that's why it was valuable during the speculative market of the 90s. But at the end of the day, 50 cents and 50 cents at your local comic shop. Maybe at yours you got to pay $1. Don't pay more than that, though. It's not worth more than that. And that's Deathmate. You know, it didn't move the needle. The artwork does on these two, but that's it. You know, and I'm sorry to disappoint you guys with this shitty, like 45-minute video that covers a crappy crossover, maybe the worst crossover in comic book history. I don't know. You tell me in the comments below. Was Deathmate the worst crossover in comic book history? If you loved Deathmate, I want you to write a detailed essay in the comments below about what you loved, because I don't get it. I really don't. I'm really mad that I just spent 45 minutes talking about this crap. But at least now you know. Now you don't have to go buy it. If you're a Rob Liefeld fanatic, you're going to get this because it's got Rob's art in it, like I have it. And if you want an interesting Days of Future Past type of vibe, you know, check out Deathmate Black 2. And that's it. That's all I got to say. I don't even know if I should tell you to like this video. I guess like it because I just saved you, you know, at least $3, maybe even $6 or $10 or $12, depending on, you know, what your comic company is, your comic shop is charging. But yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. We won't talk about Deathmate ever again. I'll put those two underneath so I don't have to look at the cover art. That's it. We're done here. Okay, like, subscribe, hit the ding dong for notifications. I want to go kill myself. You know what I really want to do? That's what I want to do. I want to tear this up. I want to tear it apart. But I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna take them back to the comic shop and sell them back to them and get a good comic that I can talk about with you guys. So that's it, man. We failed today. Pretty bad on moving the needle. You know, that's what this is about. Move the needle. Did this move the needle better than today's contemporary SJW comics that you hear about on places like Yellow Flash, That Umbrella Guy, Diversity in Comics? Did this move the needle more than comics today? Please let me know in the comments below. And I look forward to bringing you a good comic in the next video. I promise. We're going to do a good comic next time. All right, guys?